Okay. All right. Hi, we're here with Ms. Alma Clark and Ms. Chevelle. Ms. Chevelle is going to be interviewing Ms. Alma Clark, and today is May 19th, 2022. Start now.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Chevelle Miller. I am 9 years old. Can you please tell me about yourself?
Okay, my name is Alma Clark. My maiden name is Espy, E-S-P-Y. And I was born in a town called Lampasas, Texas, about 182 miles from here. It's kind of considered West Texas. It's about south of here. The year in January the 24th, 1928.
Okay. Thank you for being here today. How do you want me to address
Miss Clark.
you? Okay, Ms. Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am, we're here today to learn about you and about our community. I look forward to learning from you. Can you please tell me about yourself?
Okay, I was married for 34. Is that what? I was married for 34 years. I had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. My husband was a Methodist minister.
Interesting.
I married in 1958 in Austin, Texas. My husband and our 3 children moved to Denton, Texas, July, the 2nd week after the 4th of July in 1962. And I've been in Denton since 62, the same street at 1129 East Hickory Street.
Please tell me more about your family.
More about my, okay. As I said, I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and I was the baby. My mother died when I was 4 years old, and her oldest sister raised me. My mother died in 1932, so I was raised by an aunt. I attended the colored school in Lampasas, Texas, and it only went to the 10th grade. It was a 1-room school. And when I graduated from the 10th grade, my older sister was living in Austin, Texas. So I went to Austin, Texas and finished up high school. I went to Anderson's High School, and there I stayed until I moved to Denton, Texas in 1962.
Well, how was it growing up? No, you didn't grow up. How was it growing up where you were born?
I grew up during the time when it wasn't integrated. I grew up in a mixed neighborhood, Spanish and blacks and white. We would play together, but we did not go to school together, nor did we go to church together. We could go downtown and we could go to the work. Back then we called it the picture show. And we could go to the show. The Spanish people could sit downstairs with the white folks, but the black folks had to pay their money and go upstairs. And that's what we would do. And then my little friends that I played with in my neighborhood. The Spanish children went to the white school. And we blacks, as I had to say, had to go to the black school. the Spanish children went with the white people to church, and we went to our own church. Only time we go to the white church, if some white person had passed away and we knew that person, then we would attend that church. We would go shopping. In the grocery store, it was all right, but when we go shopping to buy clothes or something, they wouldn't let us try the clothes on. What they would do, if we was gonna buy a dress, they would take it and measure it across our shoulders. And if the dress had long sleeves, the long sleeves, that was it. Because if we bought a hat, we'd have to put a paper in it. I could understand that because, you know, we had oil in our hair, but that was the way that it was. We did not go to the cafes. If we did, we'd have to go and eat in the kitchen of the cafes. Then when I went to Austin to live, they had public transportation, and we had to ride on the back of the bus in Austin. And then, but the neighborhood that I lived in, it was predominantly a Black neighborhood. So the first bus that we caught, you could sit anywhere. But once we had to transfer to another bus where other people rode beside Black folks, we had to sit in the back of the bus. That's public transportation in Austin, Texas. Now passes were small, so we had no public transportation.
Do you know about Quakertown?
Yes, I know about Quakertown. My husband grew up in Quakertown. So he told me many stories about Quakertown. He lived in Quakertown from the time he was 5 years old until Quakertown disappeared, which was in 2022, 23. So, and he was born in 1900, so that made him be 21, 22 years old.
Can you please tell me what makes our community so special?
I think it's the people that here in the community. Right now, our community is what we call a diverse community. It wasn't when I first came, it was predominantly a Black neighborhood, neighbors that had been knowing and been living in the community for a long time. For instance, when we came with our 3 children, they were 6 months old to 3-year-old. So I had a 6 months old, a 2-year-old, and a 3-year-old. But when they began to get a little older, and my husband and I would go to work and they'd go to school, we could leave them in the neighborhood if they came home from school before we got home. And the people in the neighborhood would look after them until we got home. That was because everyone knew everybody. But now our neighborhood is diverse, but yet and still, when I say diverse, we have Spanish, a lot of Spanish people in the neighborhood now, as well as some whites, but we all get along well together.
Do you have any advice you wish you knew when you were my age?
I wish we had the technology that y'all have, and the opportunity to go to an integrated school and have the lunches that you have, the library, and those that didn't even have public transportation. And as I said, that's the most important thing, because when I was growing up, we didn't have all this technology. At first, for a long time, we didn't have electricity in my neighborhood. It was because they hadn't put it down there. But they said, how old are you? how old you say you are?
No.
Oh, well, by the time I was 9, we had electricity. But then we didn't have what we call a refrigerator. We had an ice box. And what we would do, a fellow would come and bring ice. We had a card that you put in the window and you would say how many pounds of ice that you would want. In my neighborhood, he came like on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So we placed in the window if we wanted 25 pounds, 50 pounds, or 75 pounds. And we had an ice box instead of a refrigerator. And he'd bring the ice and put it in there. And we would wrap it up to keep it. And when it would drip down, we had a container that would be under the ice box to catch the water as it melted. You would have to take it out and empty it. And then for a long time, we had a wooden stove. We didn't have gas for a long time because they hadn't put it in the neighborhood where we lived.
Thank you so much, Ms. Clark, for meeting with me. I have learned so much from you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And you tell me about you. What do you think about it?
Yeah,
What do you think about what I told you?
it was good. No, not a lot of stuff.
Did you learn to? Did you? Okay. All right. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
So Chevelle and Malia, you guys can go play out in the gym and then I'll come get you. So I just have a few questions for you before you go.
Do I need to interview her too, or she just?
No, she's a friend, but she wants to get to interview you as well, but she hasn't been fully trained yet. That was asking if you could come back.
How are you?
Yeah,
Good. But no, I will be.
but you have availability for next week, Thursday. Are you free next week, Thursday?
Yes. What day is that? Is it the end of the month?
Yeah, the 26th.
26? I don't think I have anything for them.
So you can come back.
Can you call? Let me check my calendar. Do
Okay.
you have my number?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Okay. So I just wanted to ask you, I think, 4 questions before you go. And first of all, wow. Wow, I wish I could interview you myself because that was amazing. Like hearing the stories and your husband actually being in Quakertown. Wow. Oh my goodness. That's such a rich history, you know. So did he ever?
My children.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is very tasty.
Welcome, ma'am.
The house that we lived in until 2016 came from Quakertown, but we had to tear it down because of the foundation problems that it had. So our children grew up in a Quakertown house.
Wow.
They moved it from. Are you familiar with the Quakertown Park?
I haven't been there, but I've read about it.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, you know what? You know the senior building that's in there and the women's building and the library?
Yes.
Okay. Well, by the senior building that's there is the city swimming pool. And that was a location that the house that where our children grew up in and that he grew up in was there. And the street was Terry Street.
Wow, that is incredible. You're like walking history. Wow. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the thing of Westerdale. Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Like the same house, still 2016.
The house was built in 1905. And when they moved it from Quakertown, they moved it to, as it said, to East Hickory Street.
Mhm.
And so we lived in it, but I was having so much foundation problem, and then it was so old, they said it wouldn't be safe to try to raise it up. So they tore it down and built a different house.
Wow.
And it was a big house.
Really?
Because it had, the rooms were 12 by 14, 14 by 14, and
That's
10-foot
huge.
ceilings.
Oh,
And you
wow.
see the little small baseboards they have.
Yeah.
But in this house, the baseboards was as big, like that.
Wow, that was a grand house.
I'll have
That's
to bring you
amazing.
a picture.
Oh, please, maybe next week if you're free. Okay, so the question I had was, what was your experience with the interview? Did you think it was good, or is there anything that
For a 9-year-old, it was.
Okay.
She done well.
Okay, and do you think like this study is gonna benefit the community?
Yes, I know it is.
Okay.
I know it is.
All right.
It is, I don't know about your particular study, but some other things are going on in the neighborhood, and the neighborhood will be benefited from it. So you just a part of other people that's doing things in the neighborhood, yes.
Okay.
I don't know whether you are aware of it or not, but you're sitting in history.
mm,
Before it was a Quaker town, it was Freedman Town. And this is Freedman Town here. So we don't know if by chance that we might be sitting in someone's garden or where they had their cows or their horses. We don't know. But what happened about 12 years after the emancipation, 27 Black families left Dallas because they weren't happy with it. And they moved here to Denton in this area. And they named it Freedman Town.
Malia. Sorry.
That's okay. And so where the Thomas Rivera School, this one, the Denton Housing, the Mount Calvary Church, the Morris Street Church, all of that was where they stayed. They stayed here from 1875 till about 1890. And the reason why they moved to where they are now, because they had to walk or drive their horses or mules, because most of them either worked downtown or they worked up on West Oak and West Hickory. So the land became available closer to downtown in about 1890. So they uprooted themselves. And then when they moved closer to the downtown area, they renamed it Quakertown because
Wow.
the Quakers had helped them during slavery time.
Wow. Oh my goodness, I would never have known.
Mhm.
Wow.
So you in Freemantown.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This
I have
all
this
of this at one time from 1875 to 1890. This was called Freemantown in the Black City. All here. And they were well knit people. Everybody helped everybody. Of course, they had hogs and chickens and gardens, and they just worked together. And that was it. Well, when they moved to Quakertown, other Blacks began to come in from other parts of other states and other parts of the state of Texas because there was more freedom.
Mm.
And Quakertown was actually a town.
Wow. So it's true that it was the white people that displaced the members of Quaker Town. Is that true?
Say that again.
So Quaker Town was it destroyed by the white people? Is that true?
Yes,
Okay.
but mostly TWU.
Oh.
TWU was established in 1890, and it was called the College of Industrial Arts, the CIA, all white girl college.
Wow.
But in order for them to get to downtown Denton, they had to come through Quakertown. And the president of the college at that time was trying to make an impression and wanted the college to expand and grow. So he got with the Daughters of the Republic and the founding fathers of the city of Denton and suggest that they do something in regards of moving those blacks out of that area. And so they said, okay. Denton didn't have a park at that time. So they said, well, you know what? Dallas had a park. Woodward had a park. Why don't you take that land and designate it for a park? And that's what they did. And that destroyed the town. So TWU is responsible.
And there hasn't been reparations or anything.
Well, they're trying to do something now. They're beginning to do. That's why I said you just a part of other things that's going on. We've talked with them. I've gone some of the other descendants, and we asked them they should make restitution for what they've done.
Yeah.
I tell you what, when our daughter, as you said, we had two sons. When our daughter graduated from high school and said she was going to go to TWU, it made my husband happy because he said, good, because she was going to a place with our land, which was, they were the ones that had the first.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, that is so
Yeah. The boys went off to, one went to West Texas State and the other one went to the University of Houston. But she stayed and went to, well, she went to TWU and then she went to North Texas too.
Wow.
So she got her master's at North Texas.
I have a question that's not part of this, but the way that I knew of Quakertown, the displacement of the Black people that owned Quakertown, was it like they were forced to move, like they didn't have a choice?
They had
to.
no choice.
Oh.
Because once they voted to make it a park, they had to move. The vote, let's see, I think it was 300 and some odd votes that was cast. With 210 voted for, and then the rest of them voted against it. But there was a Black man by the name of Hill that sued the city. But can you imagine? Back in 1921, the Black man sued the city.
Oh, wow.
He did, because he didn't do any good. And my husband was very, very hurt because they did not give him a fair price for their land, for their home. So when they integrated, we could go to when the children could go to the swimming pool or go in that area. Put a bad taste in his mouth because they just cheated and it destroyed the community. So when they came over here, well, I would say Solomon Hill, back this further down. Most of them left town, left the state, and left Texas altogether. Was farmland, all except that, well, this area over here was farmland because they came and made that way. And if the city sewer was out this way too during the time. So this section that we call Solomon Hill was farmland, and they moved their houses and things there, so they had to encounter the stench of the farm, horse flies and all this sort of stuff.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is, it is.
Wow. Huh.
But the majority of the people that own businesses in Quakertown, they left. See, a lot of them, as I said, come from other states, but they left and went back. They either had relatives or something, Kentucky, Tennessee, and where else did they go? And that's in the Carolinas.
Oh, wow.
Because they had a population of over 300 people by the time.
Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
They had a doctor, a school, funeral parlor.
And do you,
There was 3 churches in
church,
there. Mhm.
school, wow. And this was in 1921?
Mhm. That's when the vote came, and by 1923, everything was gone. They bought the people out. Those wanted to move the houses moved, and the rest of them, they, told them down. So they gave them little or nothing for their land and for their house.
Oh,
So that's it.
okay. That's a good question. What did you like best about the interview?
She was sticking with the notes that she had.
Yeah. What would you change if you could change anything?
In regards about the interview,
Yeah, Miss Chevelle.
I guess not anything. I had to think for a 9-year-old,
Okay.
and it was her first time.
Okay. All right. That's it. Do you feel more? Yeah. Just thank you. It was wonderful, and I'll call you to make sure you are free for next week.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It was just like 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Well, just 30 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Stop this.